Hi, this is Misha, and we're going to look at something today. It's one of the very few 22s I own. Kind of a unique little gun here. This is an Israeli pilot's survival rifle. What the Israeli pilot's rifle is a heavily modified Armorlight AR-7. And the Armorlight AR-7 was designed for civilian and military sales by Eugene Stoner. Now, originally, it was designed with the U.S. Air Force in mind, but kind of things went awry. The basic timeline was that the U.S. Air Force used the M4 and the M6 survival rifles during World War II in Korea. And Armorlight designed a bolt-action rifle that could be taken down into 4 different assemblies and its parts stored in its buttstock, and it was called the AR-5. This was adopted by the U.S. Air Force as the MA-1, but actually it wasn't ever purchased because they had so many M4s and M6s in the inventory that they never really needed any of the MA-1s. So the AR-7 was little more than an AR-5 turned into a semi-automatic. It went into production in 1959 at Armorlight in Costa Mesa, California. And sometime in the 60s, the Israeli Air Force purchased some. Now what they did is they modified it for their own use and specifications. They cut the barrel from 16 inches down to 13.5. They installed this Mauser-style hooded front sight. They put a sling swivel here. The receiver's mostly unchanged. They installed an FAL-style pistol grip. And as you see, this kind of quasi-grease gun type collapsing buttstock. So the way that Israel kind of reworked this, it was a very light and handy package. And it could collapse down to be about 14 inches. And they would keep these in the ejection seats of aircraft. And I'm sure they also kept some on board larger bomber type things. The barrel still unscrews as on the original AR-7. As you saw, the stock collapses. The pistol grip, there's actually a spring-loaded detent here, and it slides off the rails. So it basically breaks down into the section with the stock. And to collapse the stock, the release is here. It's pretty easy to use. Collapses up. So the barrel comes off here, so you're left with a section about this big. And that's why the barrel was cut down to 13.5, so it would be the same length as this. And the pistol grip slides off. And that's pretty much the package it came with. It feeds from standard 8-round mags. They were issued with 3 of these, 1 in the gun and then 2 spares. Armorlight also made 10 15-round mags, and I've seen aftermarkets going up to as much as 50. This cocking handle collapses into the bolt. The internals for the Israeli version are just like any. Still has the same style, safety, and all that as well. The pistol grip has a storage compartment with this kind of rubber gasket. I guess you could store matches or spare cartridges or whatever you might, a cleaning kit in there. Rear sight can be adjusted by moving this, loosening the screw and then moving the notch and then tightening it back down. This used a standard Uzi sling, as you can see. So yeah, this was an Israeli pilot survival rifle, and they're really neat. The AR-7 is not known much for its reliability, especially with standard bulk value ammo. It likes the hotter, the high velocity stuff. It runs better, but even then they're not 100% reliable. But you know, it was a small game and it last resort defensive gun. These were in the Israeli service all the way through the 70s and 80s. The Armalite sold the AR-7 design to Charter Arms in 1973, and from there it would be be manufactured by several other people, including Henry, Survival, AR-7 Industries. There are quite a few little places made these, with Henry being the current one, and arguably probably one of the best ones, aside from maybe the original Armalites. It's a very lightweight gun. The receiver is aluminum. The barrel is aluminum with a steel insert. Even with the stock and grip on it, it's about 3 pounds. Now, as again, with a 13.5-inch barrel, this would be considered an SBR. In the 90s, a company called Brickley imported about 200 of these from Israel, and to make them legal Title I firearms, they installed this 3-inch muzzle brake. It works. It messes up with the barrel pretty well and doesn't look horrible. Other than that, it's a standard Israeli gun. Yeah, I just thought I would share. Kind of neat. Was fun to shoot. Proved decently reliable with CCI. Had a couple of light failures, but nothing catastrophic. One of our mags wasn't behaving completely great, but the other two worked fine. But yeah, you don't see much on this version of the AR-7. I've had one of the Henrys in the past, the civilian Henry, and it was interesting. It had the full stock, which could store the receiver and the barrel in it, and a couple of mags. But since I collect military guns, I always wanted one of these rally types. And this is one of the very few 22s I own, as I said. I'm mostly a centerfire collector and shooter. Well, anyway, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. If we have any questions, please post them below, and we'll get to them. This is Nisha, and we'll catch you next time.